All right, good morning, family. If you're watching this video, chances are you saw my initial video where I was promoting this idea of where you can make $3,500 every 21 days. As long as you want to be in the program, all you got to do is bring in 2 people, and initially you're going to give someone $500. And the reason and the way that I did it is in that video I explained that you can use that money to fund your trading account. Now, I explained in that video also why I went that direction with it. But this is not an opportunity that is just for people who are trading, or for traders or investors. This is an opportunity for everybody. So if you are a trader and you have family members that you want to introduce this opportunity to, I would highly suggest that. I think this is a good opportunity that you can help out a lot of people with. So, and it'll help you get your 2 people, right? And I went into a lot of detail in that video. I don't want to go back over all of that. But so let's get right into what you came to watch this video for, and that's to get more information about this opportunity. So the way that this presentation is going to work is I'm basically going to show you a couple videos. I'm going to show you the first video I'm going to show you is of a guy who has been doing this for a while. So he shares some of his advice and some of his opinions about how everything works, and his experience about how everything works, because he was getting a lot of questions, and he'll explain all that in the video. And then the second part of this presentation, which is the beef of this presentation, is I'm basically going to replay the initial or the first meeting that we had within this community. The reason why I'm going to do it this way is because everything was explained very well in that presentation or in that meeting, and I don't want to recreate the wheel, but at times throughout the presentation I will pause the video and maybe clear up some things, or go into a little more detail about what's going on. Now, if you have any questions at all, I believe this presentation should answer any questions that you could have. But if you do still have any questions at all at the end of this presentation, you can go ahead and leave your comments below, and then I'll answer those questions as they come through. Or you can email me at UnitWE@mv3trader.com, and we'll go ahead and get all your questions answered, and so we can get started, right? So let's go ahead and get started with this presentation. Now, like I said before, this first video that I'm going to show is going to be of, let me pull it up. All right, so this first video I'm going to show is of a guy who has he's been doing it for a while, and he's going to share his experience and his opinions and give you some pointers and tips. All right, so this is not the whole video. However, if you do want to watch the whole video, I'll leave a link in the description below, and you can go ahead and check out everything he has to say. Now, keep in mind, the way that he's explaining it, this is a different community. This guy's not part of our community. I just found this video on YouTube. However, it does go over most of everything that's going to happen if you decide to be part of the community. But what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this guy, he's going to give it from the perspective of the community, or the way that he's been doing it before. Actually, just another real quick thing so we can get this started. I don't want to, it's going to be like an hour and a half long, so I'm trying to keep it as tight as possible, so I don't want to talk too much. But I lost what I was going to say. Oh, most of the other people that are well, I ain't gonna say most. There's a lot of other communities that are doing this, but they're not doing it the same way that we're doing it. This community here is, from what I've seen and from my personal experience, is unique and it's it's one of a kind. And we're working on a lot of things to actually take this concept even further and just make it better for everybody as a whole. Now, I kind of explained a little bit of that before in the previous video that should have led you here. If you didn't see that video, I'm gonna link that up somewhere in this video, and also I can put a link in the description below. And you go to my channel if you want to find it. That video is listed and it's easy to find, right? So let's get on with the presentation. I'm gonna let this guy talk to y'all, and let's do it.
Alright, first and foremost, I go by the name Military to Millionaire, and I'm getting a lot of questions about the susu flower. Now, it's a hot topic right now. I mean, it's on fire. I mean, everybody is searching YouTube, Facebook, Instagram for the hashtags, everything, trying to find out what's it really about and what's it really like. First of all, it works. Not gonna lie, be straightforward, it works. Only if you bring your two people. It's the only way this works. You gotta look at it like that. Now, if you see someone out there that's saying it doesn't work, guess what? They did not bring their two people, or they couldn't find their two people. That's how it works. It's off duplication. Before I get started, I'm going to explain how the flower works, the susu flower, and I can explain that real fast. First week you come in, you give someone $500 that's in the water position. The water position meaning they're in the 4th week. All right. You come in, you give them $500. The 2nd week, an administrator will text you and ask you, hey, who are the two people you're invited into the program? 3rd week, nothing happens. The 4th week, an administrator will reach out to you and say, hey, how would you like to be paid? Number 1, Cash App. Number 2, Zelle. Those are the most popular ones, but you can use all forms of payment if you like. So once you send that information to the administrator, next couple of days, you'll start receiving payments of $500 from 8 different people. Okay, that's a total of $4,000. Excuse me, getting ahead of myself. All right, so out of that $4,000, you put $500 back into the program, and you're giving that to the same person you gave it to when you first came into the program. That's who you're regifting. All right, so you have $3,500 left to do whatever. After that, you fall back into the program, and you got to wait 4 weeks, and you will receive 8 payments of $500 from 8 different people once again.
All right, so real quick, I want to interject a little bit, and he's saying he's using the word payments. Now, this is a gifting community. This is not a business, right? So you're not going to receive, technically, just to use the correct terms, you're not going to receive payments because it's not a business. This is not an MLM. This is not a MLM business, or this is not some kind of Ponzi scheme or anything like that. This is a gifting community, right? Just like later on that you will later on in the presentation, you will hear that banks do this and just other wealthy families do this within themselves, and just the I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but the original where this stems from is a community economics concept or practice referred to as susu, where families, they will pool money together and they will use that money to help each other. So all right, so I just want to interject. You're not going to receive a payment. You're going to receive a gift from someone else within the community who's also, participating and helping other people out. All right, so I just wanted to put that part in there. So let's go ahead and continue.
But it's the same people that paid you last time. And once that is successfully done, the flower is considered locked. I get a lot of questions about how do you get the flower locked. It's usually the second go round when you get paid. So if you get paid $4,000 twice, consider the flower locked, and that means everyone from the previous flowers or your 8 regiftees have received their payout as well. All right. Now, if you want to stick around after this I can go more in detail on how this flower works and all the ins and outs. So how that works is with all the ins and outs. Now, the first week when you come into the program, you're gifting someone who's in the water week. I know it might be a complete stranger to you, but not necessarily. Because remember, this is a friends and family program. So when you gift the $500 to them, they're in that regifting cycle. 9 out of 10, they probably are. Or they could be brand new into the water. But you gift that to them. The week later, the administrator reaches out to you, asking you who are the 2 people you invited into the program. Meanwhile, when you give that information to him or her, they will send a text to those 2 invitees asking where are their 2 people that they're inviting to the program to kind of speed up the process. Once they do that, the 3rd week, nothing happens when I said that, but technically any ins and out kinks in the program could be happening in the background, like maybe someone didn't reply or something like that. So they're still working things out in the background. But if everyone did their part after you sent your 2 people, and those 2 people sent their 2 people, and those 2 people sent their 2 people, then you will receive a successful payment during your 4th week. Now, here's the downside. If someone do not bring their 2 people, it's a possibility your payment can be short. A lot of people don't tell you that, but I'm here to tell you. If one leg doesn't do their job, you can only get $2,000.
Now, so let me go ahead and interject on that one as well. This is one of the things that makes our community a little bit different, especially if you take me up on the offer that I presented, or that I talked about in the video that should have led you here. The way we're gonna do it is, if by your first cycle, if you don't fully fill your flower, that's what we're calling it. It's just what they're calling it and how they display everything. You'll see more about that later. But if you don't get, if somewhere down the line someone doesn't bring in 2 people, we are definitely working on a way to make this better. But we do have a way to where we can fill those holes, in the worst case scenario, right? So just keep that in mind. This part with our community is just a little bit different. But everyone should definitely be bringing 2 people in. Just know that is still possible that you may not, your first cycle, you may not get your full $4,000, your $4,000 gift. However, if you keep working it and we have a way that'll help you, get your, that'll help you fill your flower, and you can keep working it until you get your flower full. So I just wanted to put that little piece in there. Let's go ahead and continue.
That's one. That is a downside. Now it can go even worse. You might not receive a payment at all because you got your 2 people, but the 2 people you got didn't get their 2 people.
Again, all right. So if you take me up on my offer, like I said, I'm introducing this to 8 people, or I need at least 8 people to even consider even doing it, and I will cut it off at some point because I can't just do this for everybody in the world. But right now the number is 8. So the first 8 people who tell me they're interested in taking me up on my offer, I'm gonna make sure that you don't end up as one of those people who don't receive a payment at all, right? In that first, and then we'll help you fill in the holes. But you should definitely bring in your 2 people, and that should, as long as everybody is bringing in their 2 people, we shouldn't even come to that. We shouldn't even have that problem. But if it does happen on the 1%, the less than 1% chance that does happen, all right, you can. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna talk about the offer again in this video, but you can watch the other video if you missed the offer, and you can take me up on that offer. But that's only for right now. That's only for the first 8 people who contact me. All right.
And that's how that works. So be mindful of that as well. The program works, but everyone has to do their part. Now, a lot of other questions I get. Administrative fees. Yes, there are administrative fees. You don't find that out until maybe like the end of the third week. And I can explain how that would go too. First week you come into the program, you give $500 to someone in the water position. Second week, administrator reaches out to you asking who are your two people you invited into the program. Third week, late third week, you'll get a text from the administrator saying, hey, congratulations, you are about to enter the water week. Would you like to hire an admin? Yes or no? If you say yes, admin fees range from $100 to $500, depending on what organization you with. All right? If you say no, that means you will administer your own flour. Okay? By administering your own flour, meaning, hey, you got to take full control of it from that point. Like, you will reach out to the 8 people that pose to gift you with your information and everything like that. And hopefully they respond. And when they do, you're good to go. Now, if there's any lag or anything like that, you just got to keep up with those people. Now, mind you, 4 weeks later, when it's time to re-gift, you got to reach out to them people as well. Now, administrators, they have all the tools and things to keep this successful. And you probably won't have those because, you know, you chose to administer your own flour. But it's easy once you get it down pat. I mean, you just get all the numbers from all the new fires that supposed to pay you, and you'll be good to go.
So we want to go over this really quick.
All right, so yeah, that's not the complete video. If you want to see, he goes into more detail. He breaks down the flour, and he breaks down a little bit more information. But that I just wanted to everything he breaks down, we're going to talk about, or is going to be covered in the rest of this presentation. So, but if you do want to see everything else that he had to say, that the link to that video is in the description below. All right, so this is the main bulk of the presentation. Like I said before, this is like the first meeting that we had as a community to kick, you know, our community, our gifting community off. So this is going to explain everything from, you know, from defining what a pyramid and a Ponzi scheme is, and it's going to break down the flour. It's going to break down how this program works and how our community works. It's going to break down everything. Now, so again, I will say, if you have questions, try to watch through the rest of the video, and maybe your question will be answered. So if you get a question in the middle of the video, and you can write it down so you make sure you don't forget. And if your question gets answered, that's awesome. But if it doesn't, go ahead and leave a comment. Leave your question in the comment section below, and I'll answer it. Or you can email me, and I'll answer your question that way. All right. So let's get going with this.
Because when you guys are explaining this to people, this is probably some of the stuff they probably heard about what this is. And if you follow my channel, which obviously you do, you guys know I'm about fully educating yourself on anything that you're into. Information, always getting firsthand information. So, Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investing scam that promises investors high return rates and low risk. Ponzi schemes work by generating returns for older investors by acquiring new investors. The funds from new investors are used to pay either backers, are used to pay earlier backers. Ponzi schemes typically unravel when there is not enough money from new investors to support the various levels of prior investors. So understanding the Ponzi scheme hierarchies, there are many levels of a Ponzi scheme, and they are all, and they all start with an originator. People or companies that start a Ponzi scheme focus their energy on attracting new clients to make investments. Their income from new investors is marked as a profit from a legitimate transaction and used to pay original investors their returns. The legitimate transaction that investors believe happened never happened. Excuse me. In order for a Ponzi scheme to continue, it relies on a constant flow of new investments. When this cash flow runs out, the scheme typically falls apart. In some cases, such as the famous Madoff case, Ponzi schemes can operate for many years with large sums of money before they bottom out. Ponzi schemes versus pyramid schemes. The infographic shows how a Ponzi scheme works, breaking down the various levels of a Ponzi scheme. It is often a pyramid-like structure. Unlike a pyramid scheme, investors in a Ponzi scheme believe they are investing in an actual security and unaware that the new investors are the source of the returns received. In a pyramid scheme, though, operators typically conceal the true nature of the operation. Investors understand that recruiting new investors is part of their responsibility and are a crucial source of profit for existing members. So, Ponzi schemes it was supposed to be where it started. I don't see that part. But Ponzi scheme started basically from this dude named Charles Ponzi. He was trying to scam some people on some stamps. He was trying to get them to invest in stamps where stamp rate was only 5% return. He told them he can get them 50%. So as they was investing, he wasn't getting it. So he was always relying on new investors to pay off the old investors. That's not what this is. You're not investing in anything. Okay, this is gifting. Always remember what this is. This goes back way before any of this ever started. So we're going to jump into that as well. So I want to just get something clear as well about pyramid scheme and the negative connotation on what that means. Because this is not a pyramid scheme, but I want to just make sure, or it's not necessarily what a traditional pyramid scheme is called, but I just want to break down these words, as y'all know I do. So, pyramid. Pyramid is the strongest structure that you have in nature. The strongest structure that you have in nature is a pyramid, which is why so many of our different ancient cultures use them. So, pyramid is not bad. Pyramid is the strongest structure that you can have. A scheme, what does that mean? Where does that come from? It comes from the word schematic. Just a plan, a drawing, something carved out, written out. So all that means is just a plan that's in the shape of a pyramid. Doesn't mean a scam. The word scam, which really doesn't have an origin, but the closest origin comes from the word scamper, which meant an untrustworthy person. So, very important to understand the terminology of these words. So, any scheme or schematic, again, the word, you gotta look up these words, is just a plan. It's a blueprint. That's all a schematic is. When an architect, he writes up something, it's called a schematic of how the building works, how it's built, how it's made, how it's supposed to go, how the system runs. So the Susu, the original Susu, was nothing like the new one that we have now. It's similar, but it's not like the new one. And so we're going to look at both of those things and see how they evolve. So this is a TED Talk on the Susu, which really breaks this down. So let's watch this.
I was born, baptized, and attended elementary school right down the street from here. Literally. If you exit this building and walk up Nostrand Avenue for about 15 minutes, you'll pass the Church of St. Jerome's and St. Jerome's School. That's me. Most people call this area the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. but the locals here call it Little Haiti. And as a child of Haitian immigrants, you learn 3 things. Lesson 1, if you pass your elders and you don't say good morning, they'll likely ask you, did we sleep in the same house last night? Lesson 2, if you get a B+ in any of your classes, your parents will likely ask you, where's the rest? I thought you'd at least get an A. And lesson 3, if you have a problem saving money, then boy, you better join a susu. Lesson 3 is the one that stuck with me the most. For those who aren't familiar, a susu is a community pool of funds in which each participant makes a weekly contribution to the pool. And as a result, they get a distribution of the entire pool's value on a specified date. It requires a lot of trust. And you're probably thinking this is happening at like a local bank or something, right? But no, it's happening at one of the elders' homes directly in the neighborhood. So when I was young and my parents were saving up for their first house, they entered a susu. Every week, and I mean every single week, my parents went to the same house to contribute to their susu. That time in my life, it really set a huge impression on me. It taught me the value of community economics. It taught me the value of the discipline that's required for saving. But the thing that impressed me the most was when they got that payout. I was like 9, 10 years old, and I had never seen so much money in my life. So as a result, I fell in love with money. My entire teenage life, I saved every dime that I got, from shoveling snow in the winters to my birthdays. And during that time, I felt like a superhero with a big S on my chest. The Susu Man. Lending money to all my friends in the neighborhood. So when it came time to choose a major in college, the only thing that made sense was finance. Because, you know, I learned how to make susus and stuff, right? College was great. And as a finance major, you learn how financial institutions interact with each other. You learn how banks lend money to other banks. And more importantly, your professors drill it in your head that Wall Street is completely different than Main Street. Even in my senior year, we learned about corporate and municipal bonds and how corporations and municipalities go to bond investors and ask to borrow money. And they pay them a profit. It's called interest, right? And I thought to myself in class, like, man, I'm a really bad bond investor. I keep lending money to my friends for free. What's my problem, man? What's up? Immediately after college, I got my first job in the social industry. Nah, I mean the financial industry. At 21, I was doing mortgage and interest rate research at a Wall Street bank. And, you know, learning about mortgages and interest rates at a really young age, you learn a lot of cool stuff. I learned how they took mortgages, like my parents, and packed them into these pools. They call them bonds. And they sold them to investors all over the world. It was like one really big susu. I was like, damn, y'all, how you get a susu so big? But of course, when you're learning something great, there are parts of it that's not so great. The mortgage process itself is extremely complicated. And most of the people that were signing up for these mortgages, they were just looking to buy their first house. They didn't really understand what it was. I remember this one instance. I was on the phone with a customer, and they were telling me, look, man, I was just trying to get this house. I didn't really understand what a mortgage is. Can you explain it to me? And this, mind you, this is a person who bought a house. I had to tell them, a mortgage is a note. Your bank holds on to the deed to your house until you pay off the note. And then after you pay off the note, they give you the deed. And he was like, what? I don't even own my house? I was like, not yet. So that moment and that conversation really told me that I need to use what I've learned and share with others. So because of that, I created a financial literacy platform. I called it Raising Benjamin. The same year I created Raising Benjamin, I started my first year in law school. And one of the first classes you take in law school is contract law. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, don't take contract law. Contract law is extremely complicated. They have all these rules for what an offer is, and then all these other rules about what constitutes acceptance of the offer.
Don't listen to what he said. All of you need to learn contract law.
I second that.
That's everything. Contracting is everything. Y'all follow me on video. Y'all have heard me say don't sign anything without signing your name, all rights reserved. Because everything that you sign your name to is a contract. Everything, no matter what it is. If you sign your name, if you put your name, your signature on that piece of paper, it becomes a contract.
Facts.
Whatever you do, always put all rights reserved after it, over it, under it, or before it. And you also need to learn that contract law because it's what runs everything. So he's talking crazy. Don't listen to that. If he's saying don't learn because the law is a little intricate and complicated, but you definitely want to learn.
And then they have a bunch of other rules about what to do if somebody fails to perform. I was like, yo, this just sounds like a really complicated way to get a bunch of people who didn't know each other to get into a susu. And toward the end of my first year, one of my professors briefly spoke about these things called pooled income trusts, where people actually use these to pay down their income so that they can continue to qualify for Medicare and Medicaid and low-income housing. And when they put their money in the trust, they have the option to withdraw the money for supplemental purchases or for emergencies. And in law school, we have these little microphones. Every student gets one, and you turn it on if you have something to say or if you want to answer a question. So I turned my microphone on and I said, hey, why would y'all have such a complicated name for something that's just a susu? And that moment in class, it hit me. My entire career and my entire education, I was taught that Wall Street is a completely different place than Main Street. But in reality, they're one and the same. Main Street is Wall Street and Wall Street is Main Street. And I'm gonna give y'all an example. If you work at a company in this room, right? Anyone here work at a company, you probably make a contribution on a bi-weekly basis to your 401k, right? And your 401k has a portfolio manager, a 401k portfolio manager, and he takes your money and invests it in companies all over the world, companies that you probably never even heard of before. If you're a civil servant, like a police officer or a teacher or a firefighter, you make bi-weekly contributions to your pension. And your pension has a pension fund manager. And he also takes that money and invests it in companies all over the world. Companies you probably never heard of. See, all these companies, all these places, funded by us in this room. So as I'm in class and I'm having this existential crisis, I start to ask myself really heavy questions. Questions like, if we can afford to fund companies like Facebook and Ford, why is it so difficult for us to fund our own communities? If we're able to fund so many different places and we're able to raise so much money, why is it so difficult for people who grew up in Flatbush and Bed-Stuy? Why is it so difficult for them to buy homes in the areas that they live in? Why do they have to suffer under the thumb of gentrification? Why is it so difficult, and why do we feel so powerless in fighting to stay? These are some heavy questions.
Some great questions.
And there's no simple answer to any of them. But there's always two things that stand out to me. One of them is a mindset. It's a mindset that Wall Street and Wall Street alone are the sole arbiters of who and what gets funded, when really it's us. And two, we felt as if we had limited tools. And I'll give you an example of that. For example, a susu. A susu is an amazing tool to help you save your money. But there are limitations, right? You can't claim your susu on your taxes. I wish I could. You can't use your susu as some sort of collateral for a mortgage or a small business loan. Susus aren't regulated by any regulatory agency in the government. So as powerful as this tool is, it still limits our ability to accumulate traditional wealth and enter the middle class. But today we have tools. See, in 2012, Barack Obama, the great Barack Obama, signed the Jobs Act into law. And the Jobs Act was a few years after the recession, and one of his goals out of that was to jumpstart America's businesses. And there are certain exceptions, Title I through Title III exceptions, that basically create a few new tools. One of those tools is crowdfunding equity platforms. Now, crowdfunding equity platforms allow us to invest directly in businesses that we believe in. These businesses do not have to go through these dramatic IPOs. We don't need to go and visit a stockbroker in order to invest in them. We can literally log on to something they call the funding portal, pick a business that we believe in, or pick a business that's directly in our community and invest in it. And in an area like Flatbush, that's very vital, because we already know historically, we've had, Black people specifically, have had problems with getting small business loans from banks. But it's really easy for Black people to get credit cards from banks. And through this venture capital revolution, there was research done by this company called CD Insights that found that even though Black people are 11% of America's population, less than 1% of Black founders get venture capital funding. And I was like, damn. See, I personally know a friend of mine who used a crowdfunding equity platform. He created this app called App. And basically, his goal, he had one job only. He said, I'm going to get everybody one free appetizer at any restaurant every single day. So he logged on to a crowdfunding equity platform called WeFunder, and he raised over $200,000 to see his dream come true. I was like, damn, bro, I never would have thought you could raise $200,000. That's incredible. So we have a second tool, and it's called real estate equity crowdfunds. And real estate equity crowdfunds allow us to invest directly into real estate without having to use traditional financial means. Usually, you have to invest through this thing they call a REIT that you have to buy on the open market. And a REIT is a real estate investment trust. But with a real estate equity crowdfund, you can log on to a website and invest directly through there. Now, I'll give you an example of how it works. Let's say everybody in this room had picked me because I had gotten SEC approval to create a real estate equity crowdfund. Everyone in this room could put money into the crowdfund and have equity. And I can take this money and buy empty plots of land directly in your neighborhood. I can buy empty pieces of property that have been laying there forever. Nobody bought it. And then I can reconvert these homes into affordable housing for the people who live there. And in an area like Flatbush that's dealing with gentrification, buying the available properties would be very powerful for us. We could really find a way to reclaim our neighborhoods. My parents and their generation had their susu. It gave them the ability to buy their first home and entry into the middle class. Personally, it's what put me on the stage before you today. And when I was 9, it gave me my own driveway so I could play basketball in it. Because my landlord at our last spot was real tired of me doing that. My generation, we have our own susu. And I pray that it does so much more. Thank you.
All right, so there's an old susu and there's the new improved version of, which is some of the video, what I introduced you guys to. We're gonna watch a little bit of that as well, but I wanted to show you guys this. So now this is a brother doing a breakdown of the scam. Is it a scam or not? So you guys have to understand that. And now what this new system is based off of was something a while back that was called the Cash App. or with this new system was based off a Cash App thing that they were doing, and they were calling it a scam. So I want you to watch this dude and watch him break down the difference between the two.
Hey guys, Tiny Bryson here, and apparently everyone thinks that the Cash App wheel is actually a scam. However, I actually found out that this entire method that they're doing might not be the best one, but the Cash App wheel thing itself is actually not a scam. So by this video, I'll break down exactly how it works and how you can start your own if you want to, but actually make it not a scam. By the way, about a week ago, someone told me about this and told me, Tommy, I have this new idea, and what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to go ahead and start this little wheel thing, and everyone that moves into the circle is going to get paid money. Now, they asked me for $100, but your boy is not stupid. I actually put in $10,000. Now, when I put in this $10,000, guys, guess what happened? And instead of getting back $800, well, your boy actually got back around $80,000. And that's why I always say, you know what? The man of action always gets the worm. By the way, I also mean the woman of action also gets the worm also. So there you go. I got $80,000. No, I'm just kidding, guys, okay? I'm kidding. I actually lost all my money. So do me a favor. If you actually enjoy these videos, go ahead, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified. But most importantly, also smash the like button, because by the end of this video, if you comment down your Cash App, I'll actually be requesting an extra $10,000. By the way, notice I said requested because, again, I lost $10,000. I want to get it back. I also got scammed, okay? So hopefully, obviously, I need some help right now, okay? But guys, seriously, let's get into this video and actually talk about exactly how it works and how everything actually operates, okay? Now, the first thing is this, guys. The truth is this, guys. This entire scam, this new scam by the Cash App, or whatever you want to call it, is actually not a new scam. A long time ago, around 3 years ago, if you go back enough on YouTube, you'll find something called the Blessing Loom scam. And that scam is the same one now. Instead, people are actually using Venmo, Cash App. However, before you just be like, okay, Tommy, I found out it's a scam, I'm done with it, okay, I'm not gonna join, okay, I heard enough. The answer is, well, it's not really that simple. And here's why. Because in actuality, there's still very big, legitimate businesses today that operate this way, but a little bit more differently, and they actually do the same exact thing in a very legal way, okay? So by the end of this video, my goal is to show you the legal way, and this way, if you want to, with your friends of at least like 15 people or 10 people, you guys can do the exact same thing and actually make some money between each other without having to scam each other. That's the goal here. So stick around to the video to find out exactly how that works. But before we get into that, guys, let's talk about exactly how this do it, okay? Now, the very first thing is this, guys. The idea is very simple, and I went ahead and I killed some trees to actually do this, which I'm not a fan of, but I actually have printed paper to show you everything here. So as you guys can see right here, I studied this over and over and over again to make sure I understood it perfectly. And by now, if I want to scam every single one of you at home, and I can grab my $10,000 back and make it back, but I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to scam anyone. Or at least I won't say it on YouTube because I don't want to go to jail again. However, guys, okay? The entire idea is very simple, okay? As you guys can see right here, you have the purple, you also have the pink, then you have the green, and then you have the blue. However, what they usually don't tell you is that whenever this does actually start up, usually the green, the pink, and the purple are already there. So in actuality, the only thing that's going on is basically, by the way, scammers are getting so smart because it's actually very sophisticated. So much so that I can barely spell the word sophisticated, okay? However, the purple is the person receiving the gift, okay? The pink people on each side are actually called the leaders, okay? On top of that, you have the green people on each side, 4 of them, that are actually called the marketers. These are people in charge of actually getting people on the these entire spaces. Now, the idea is that the blue people are actually called the gift givers. So whenever you join and you buy a blue spot, you're called a gift giver. Now, it's very simple to understand once you break it down this way, okay? But instead of trying to break it down like this, I actually want to react to a video I found online that breaks it down a lot more better than anyone out there can possibly do it, okay? Now guys, here's the video I wanted to show you, and let's get into it right now, okay?
So someone has invited.
If when they're breaking all when they're breaking this part down, If you still kind of don't get, oh my God, when they're breaking this part down, if you still don't completely understand the whole flower or the loom, later on in this video, I'm going to explain it in another way that may make it a little easier to, like towards the end this video. I'm going to explain it in a way that's going to make it, it may make it easier to understand and to see what, so you can see how it really works. All right.
You to gift $100 in effort to turn it into $800, and you say, how does that work?
Okay, by the way, if you guys notice, the same scam that's going on today, this video is actually from around 3 years ago. So the entire turn $100 into 800, so you get 8 times your money without putting more money in. It's actually been going on for around 3 years or so. So it's not like a brand new idea. It's been going on for a very long time. But here's how it works, okay?
They send you a link to a WhatsApp chat, and in that chat, you see a picture of a loom, and they say, here's Sue, and here is her PayPal account. Pay one.
Okay, so right off the bat, guys, right? She's talking about basically here about PayPal and WhatsApp. It's not working like that anymore, right? Now it's more digital, it's more simple, and it's actually more advanced. And that's why I say scammers are getting more sophisticated. And here's the thing, guys. Right now, they're using the Cash App and Venmo because they know for a fact that with PayPal, people can actually claim and get their money back. However, with Cash App and Venmo, these people have strict rules saying like, hey, don't send money to anyone you don't know because we won't get you that money back, okay? So be very careful who you send money to, and that's why they're using platforms today. Let's keep going.
$100 to it, and you can get a blue space. You do it. You have a blue space. Now you and everyone else in this loom is working to invite people to fill the other blue spaces. Everyone on a blue space pays one.
So basically right now, guys, okay, the idea is in total, right? The idea is what you basically want is to have everyone on the entire chart work towards actually getting these blue spaces filled, right? So that's why when you first start off, these spaces, the green ones, the pink ones, and the purple ones, that's why I said they already exist. So now the job of these people, usually the green people, because these two right here, the leaders, the pink ones and the purple one is just getting the money. So you're like waiting there, hey, where's my money? So whenever you actually buy into this, you actually put in $100, in reality, all you're really doing is buying a $100 spot. Now, Tommy, how exactly does it work once Ryan leaves? Well, here's where it gets complicated, okay?
$100 to the person on the center space. So little by little, the loom fills up, and now the loom will split into two. Everyone will move one space closer to the center. The people who are on pink separate into two separate looms where they are each on the center, and they take everyone on their side with them. So Joe becomes...
And really quickly, what they're explaining, the other video that you've already seen, it's the same thing. They're using the lotus, but we're going to break it down and show you the difference. But he's going to show you something at the end of the video.
Liz and Cal, who Joe becomes...
And real quick, I hate to interject. I'm trying to make this as short as possible, but when he said when he was talking about the video that we've already seen, this is the guy that introduced us to the idea, to the concept, or to the community, however you want to call it. But he showed us a different video, which is also going to be in this video as well. So you're not going to miss out on, you didn't miss something, and you get to see the exact video that we saw. Now all of these videos will be again in the description below. So let's keep it going.
Purple. Liz and Cal, who are on green, become Joe's pinks. And everyone who was on Joe's side, who was on blue, now becomes green.
Okay, so if you didn't get that, guys, okay, here's why it's so complicated, right? The entire idea is that whenever these entire blue circles get filled out, meaning that Ryan gets paid now, well, how exactly does Ashley and Canaan, for example, in my example here, right? How is that they're both in the right spot? The answer is they don't. So what basically happens now, the entire hexagon or circle or wheel, whatever you want to call it, because it's basically not a wheel and it's mostly likely not a circle. It's actually a hexagon. I think so. I'm sorry to my math professor out there, but
the shape really doesn't matter.
Two. So now when it splits in two, basically,
as long as you understand the concept.
So when it actually splits in two, what happens is very simple, but also a little bit complicated. So here's why, guys, okay? So basically what happens is, instead of going from everyone working together, well, now that Ryan just got paid, everyone splits in half and goes off to actually create their own very own circle. So now, for example, you have Ashley. She comes into the middle of the circle, right? So here's a brand new circle. Again, I don't like killing trees, but for this video, I had to do it to make sure you don't end up spending $100. However, if you want to support trees, go ahead and donate $1. You have to plant a tree somewhere in the world or in the universe. I don't really know that much, okay? But the point is, giving money is very important to save trees also. However, guys, the entire idea is that now Ashley goes from basically being one of the leaders to now she goes into being in the middle. However, Sarah and Bridget, which is part of my example, the two greens on her side, go to actually being the leaders. And everyone that's actually in the blue becomes a part of the green now. So this is how a circle gets started every single time. And it's what you call actually a cycle. So every time the blue gets filled up again, somebody else comes in, usually the leader on the other side. So the answer is, Tommy, why does this matter? The point is everyone's gonna get paid eventually. Well, the answer is no, not really, and here's why. Because a very good example I came up with all by myself, so yes, give this video a like because I definitely deserve it. Here's what, guys. Imagine you have a bucket or a cup, and this cup has a hole underneath, right? So every time you put in water, it keeps going down and down and down. But your goal is to basically maintain it full. So the answer is, the water is the money coming in. So the money keeps coming in, but it keeps coming down, out, out, out. So you constantly need more people to join in and put in more money, because if that stops, basically everyone that put in money on that blue circle, well, they basically all get scammed. And the answer is, well, Tommy, do I care about this? Because eventually I'll get paid fast because everyone's starting right now. So what exactly does this mean? Well, let me tell you this, guys, okay? Now, I'm not a scammer, okay? I'm not a scammer at all. However, if I was a scammer, I could tell you this. If I was a scammer, and I know scammers, well, let me just rephrase that. I think I know scammers that know people just in case the IRS comes after me, okay? But the idea is that I know scammers that basically go ahead and create multiple cash apps. Tommy, how? Tommy, how do they do this? Well, they go in the dark web and they buy identities, literally, and they make multiple cash apps. So the answer is,
now that is a scam.
If me as a scammer, well, imagine I started an entire circle by myself. So the answer is, if I started scamming all by myself, guess what I could do? I could basically be Ryan, I could be Ashley, I could be Kanan, I could be Bridget, Destiny, Sasha. I could be all these people in the green circle right here, in the pink and also the purple. However, my entire goal as a scammer is to get all you people to come in and pay money. And by the time this is all done over and over again and I get paid all the money, I would make a little bit over $50,000. I would make a little bit over $50,000 by doing this. And for example, if I did this 100 times, or maybe for example 50 times, or maybe for example 1,000 times, well, the amount of money would go from this to basically having an entire bag of cash just like that by scamming people left and right. So, Tommy, what should I do here? Should I invest? Should I not invest? The answer is very simple. You don't want to do it because basically scammers are hijacking this, and it's basically a big Ponzi scheme, because the answer is, if people stop joining, well, you don't get paid. But Tommy, you also said one thing. You said this could be legal with my friends and we could all make money. So how would that work, okay? Well, the answer is very simple. Now, here's how the legal way to actually do this actually works. Now, I do have to warn you guys, okay, because again, I don't want to get sued. However, I did not actually create this method at all. However, it is very legal because I actually know banks and people that do this, and everyone is fine, and there are no scams whatsoever. I promise you this, okay? So, imagine this, guys, right? You have...
Banks do this. I just want y'all to hear what he just said. Now, this is not just from him. You can go and find it. This is how banks This is how banks and other cultures come to America, and this is how they're able to flourish.
Pentagon or this circle or this hexagon or this I don't know what you want to call it. The point is it's shapes, okay? So for example, if you guys notice, there are 15 different people right here at a single moment, right? So if everyone paid $100, that would be $1,500 into one pool of money. If I was here in the middle and I got paid $1,500, well, I got that money. Now, the difference is with the legal one is that you don't actually leave. All you have to do is basically come right back to the blue circle and keep paying $100 per month. And everyone in the circle is required to pay $100 per month, whether you're in the middle or not in the middle. Now, tell me, why would he do this? Well, the answer is that this is not actually a Ponzi scheme like the other one. It's actually giving someone a loan, a small loan that can pay over time without actually paying interest. It's the best way to do it.
Not a loan, it's a gift.
Not a loan, it's a gift.
Legal terminology.
Okay, so for example, when I get paid $1,500, well, I would move over to the blue side, right? And then, for example, Ashley would come into the purple side. And next month, when I myself also put in $100 and everyone puts in $100, well, in actuality, now Ashley gets paid another $1,500, and so on and so on and so on. So eventually, everyone in the circle gets $1,500, and eventually, everyone in the circle would actually pay back that $1,500. So essentially, what's going on is that we're cycling $1,500 to each person, and this way everyone gets a small loan of $1,500, but this way no one is getting scammed whatsoever. It's the only way to do this legally, by the way. You can't do it any other way because, again, it's been proven by science. But the point is, if you want to make quick money,
All right, so that's about the end of that. So he just broke it off. The way to do it, the way to actually do it is the way we're doing it, is the way it's being done. You have to, the person in the center, we're going to go back and just take a quick overview of the actual video. But the person in the center, when you get paid, you reinvest $500 right back into the flower, which we're going to get into. That's why it constantly keeps going. It keeps perpetuating because everyone has agreed that we're going to stay in this and constantly put back into the center or gift and constantly keep gifting. So you guys, if you have questions, you guys can ask questions. We have to go to the IRS. Before we get into the other thing, what you just said, we're going to look at the IRS. So really quick, let's break down the IRS, why you can do this and why it's legal. So this is on gifting, right? So what is considered a gift? Any transfer from an individual, either directly or indirectly, where full consideration measured in money or money's worth is not received in turn. All right, so when you give somebody something and they don't give you nothing back, that's a gift. All right. Oh, let me just go, actually let's start right at the top. I should have started here. So who pays the gift tax? The donor is generally responsible for paying the gift tax. Under special arrangements, the donor, the donee, may agree to pay the tax instead. Please visit your tax. All right, so basically, whoever giving the money, if I give you money, then I'm supposed to pay the tax on it. Unless we come to an agreement that whoever I just gave the money to, you're gonna pay it. So, give you an example. Anybody watch The Price is Right? I know it's old school shit. Okay, Price is Right. When you get them prizes, what happens? What does the person have to do who wins the prizes?
Pay taxes.
You gotta pay the taxes on it. Why? Because it's a gift. The company or production company or whoever it is, they're gifting you those items. So in the agreement, when you sign the contract to go on The Price is Right, what you don't understand is in that agreement, you agree to pay. It's in there. It's in the agreement. Whatever you win, we don't pay the taxes on it. You pay the taxes. So that's what we're talking about there. So then what can be excluded from gifts? The general rule is that any gift is a taxable gift. Any gift is a taxable gift. However, there are many exceptions to this rule. Generally, the following gifts are not taxable gifts. Gifts that are not more than the annual exclusion for the calendar year, tuition or medical expenses you pay for someone, the educational and medical exclusions, gifts to your spouse, and gifts to political organizations. Now, all the way down here, so what if my spouse and I want to give away property that are owned? Wait, where's the exclusion? Hold on. Is this it? Oh, here. All right. Here it is. How many annual exclusions are available? The annual exclusion applies to gifts to each donee. In other words, if you give your children $11,000 in 2002 to 2005, $12,000, 2006, 2008, $13,000. So let's go all the way down here. For 2018, 2019, and 2020, the annual exclusion is $15,000.
It's been going up.
Which means you can receive up to $15,000 from any person individually. From one person. So that means constantly. You can just constantly bam, 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 bam. you can constantly keep getting 15 from someone.
What you're saying is it's going to be multiple people that you're getting.
Yeah. Yes. So each one will only be giving you $500 at a time. So that can, you see what I mean? So that can, each for it to reach taxable zone, each one of those people would have to give you $15,000, or it would have to accumulate to $15,000 a piece, or one person, and then that one person period couldn't give you any money no more. Then you would have to probably move to another flowers. So I do want to go over that flower, the breakdown of the flower system one more time, so that we all have an understanding before we get into what we're gonna do here.
You will also have access to this video with the password to get in the description below.
Welcome, future gifter. Welcome to the Ujamaa Cooperative Economic Friends and Family Share Group. Who are we? Our Friends and Family Share Group has been around for about 10 years and is based on the foundation of 3 principles. The principle of sowing and reaping, Ujamaa Cooperative Economics, and the SUSU. The history of Ujamaa Cooperative Economics. Ujamaa Cooperative Economics means to build our own businesses, control the economics of our own community, and to share in all its works and wealth as we profit from them together. Ujamaa means familyhood in Swahili, and that's what we are. We are a family here in this community, guys, so we definitely want you to understand what it is that you are about to join. We are a family, we are a community that work together to help each other be blessed. Ujamaa Cooperative Economics is a sum of the 3 main concepts.
So just getting into that does have to be the main, those things have to be the main principles of why we come together. Okay, those righteous principles, because those will keep us all together. The unity, the community resource. Because without each other right now, especially in this what I call the after COVID world, because this is a new world order. Y'all didn't understand. You're in the new world order. The COVID world is the new world order. And they have many major plans for you guys in this new world order. If you're not financially sound, as well as you have your legal status and everything down, that's a whole nother game. Finances are first. They're coming for the lower class to the poor, to the poor first. So while the world and the system is in chaos and in uproar, this is your chance to be able to come up, because they don't expect you to be focused when they're trying to to put you in such disarray and such fear. You block that out and you do what you need to do to come out of this ahead, which is basically we got to come together.
Shared wealth and work, economic self-reliance, and the obligation of generosity. The history of the susu, which comes from the Yoruba term esusu, originated in West Africa, but is practiced in many African and Caribbean countries. Over the years, the susu has evolved, but the basic concept remains the same. Somalis call it a hagbat or a yutu. In Jamaica, it is known as a partner. In Guyana, a box hand. Haitians call it a min, and if you're South African, you may know it as a stock bull. All right, guys? Let me go back to that. As old folks tell it in the past, housewives who didn't have an income in those rural communities or had no access to traditional banks, they used susus. The women would save a little bit of money from whatever their husbands gave them and put it in a susu to be able to treat themselves when it was their turn to receive a hand. The susu is still popular among African, Caribbean, Latino, and Asian immigrant communities. Some use it to start businesses, others for big purchases, vacations, down payments on properties, cars, and even to send their kids to college. So what to expect from our co-op if you join? Well, you will join a community of like-minded individuals that supports, empowers, and motivates one another to go after their goals, dreams, and aspirations. You will also get access to our co-op business directory. Inside of our co-op, we have a lot of professionals in all different kinds of genres of business. We have CPAs, we have accountants, we have law enforcement, we have realtors, we have book editors, book writers. We have a multitude of people inside of our co-op. And you will gain access to our co-op business directory. So with the blessing that you receive here in our community, that in the real world, you may be able to support some of our people that are in our same community, in our business directory, and we will be able to do business in our own communities. And that's what we're creating, okay? We
That's
also
what it's
do
about.
a weekly co-op talks call. On that call, we bring in professionals that can talk about anything from life insurance, how to do investments, investing in IPOs, investing in real estate, insurance, all types of business professionals that come in and talk to us. Also, that's your opportunity to ask questions on how your flower is growing and things that you may be experiencing, and to give your praise reports as well. We also do a daily prayer call. I call every day for some much needed prayer, especially in this time that we're going through, and much, much more, guys. So the symbol of our community is the lotus flower. The lotus flower emerges from murky waters, perfectly clean and beautiful. So it is also the symbol for purity. The meaning of the lotus flower holds such power because it can offer hope and strength to people struggling in their daily lives. It is a symbol that shows that no matter where you start off in life, and no matter what you're going through, you have the ability to rise above, overcome all negativity, and find bliss as you emerge from your struggles.
Facts.
Okay, guys, so the first thing I'm gonna do is go over the differences between a traditional susu and the Ujamaa Cooperative Economics community, okay? In a traditional susu, there is one holder of the funds, who is also called the banker, or people who say they're the middleman, but they are the person who holds the funds. Also in a traditional susu, there's a frequency of contribution, meaning they would meet either once a week or every 2 weeks or something like that. And then the length of contribution, it would depend on how many individuals were actually in the susu. And it would be a length of contribution until everyone in the susu received a hand. Also in the traditional susu, what you put in is what you get out. It is what you draw. Now, the difference between what we're doing at the Ujamaa Cooperative Economics Friends and Family Share Group, hear me when I say this. There is no holder of the funds. No holder of the funds, meaning no banker, no middleman. The seed that you will receive will come directly to you. There is no middleman, no banker, no holder of funds. We do have a 4-week frequency of giving, and we have a one-time out-of-pocket gift. And what you put in is far less than what you reap every 4 weeks. And then we ask that you share our initiative. And we ask that you share it with at least 2 like-minded individuals. We ask that you share it with at least 2. We would prefer you to share it with as many as possible, but we ask that you share it with at least 2, okay? How does it work? All right. Each week is represented by an element and starts on Sunday, meaning you can only join our share group on a Sunday. Week 1 and 5, you will be fire. Week 2, you will be air. Week 3, you will be earth. And week 4, you will be water. So I'll explain. So you join on week 1 and you sow your seed gift of $500 to the water. Now the water is the individual that you will be notified that is to receive the gift. Again, no middleman. The gift is sold directly to the water. So there is no banker, no holder of funds, or anything like that. So you sow your seed gift on week 1 of $500 to the water. And week 2, you invite your 2 like-minded friends or family to join the share group. In week 3, you become earth. Those 2 like-minded individuals that you had just invited, they then invite their 2 friends and family to join the share group. And week 4, you are now water, and you will reap your gift harvest. On week 5, you will re-sow and start the process all over again. Okay, now we're going to go through it step by step. So week 1, you're fire. So what happens? Week 1, you are to join the share group. Now you see, Mary is the fire. The water is Lisa. So what does Mary do when she joins the share group? She sows her $500 seed directly to Lisa. As you notice, only 2 people on this page are Lisa and Mary. Mary sows her seed directly to Lisa. How does Lisa receive it? Lisa's preferred method of gifting. It could be Cash App, it could be Venmo, it could be PayPal, it could be Zelle. If you're international, it could be Zoom, XOOM. But Mary sows her seed directly to Lisa. Week 2, you become air. Week 2, now you notice Mary has moved to the air position, but also notice that Jimmy is now the water. It was Lisa. Now in week 2, it's Jimmy. Again, guys, there's no person at the top. There's no pyramid at the top and a person at the top, none of that. The water rotates every week. So what does Mary do? Mary then invites her 2 like-minded friends and family to join the share group. So Mary invites Awari and TJ. What does Awari and TJ do? They sow their seed gift directly to Jimmy. If you even notice in the slide, the seed is bypassing Mary. So it does not go to Mary just because she invited them. It goes to whom the specific water is for that week, okay? Week 3, you become earth. In week 3, now you see Mary is up top at the earth position. The 2 like-minded friends she just invited, they were fires. They have now moved to the air position. Also notice, the water has changed again. It was Lisa, then it was Jimmy, and now it's Alec. Again, rotating water. So what does Awari and TJ do? They invite their 2 like-minded friends and family to join our share group. So Awari invites Lisa and Kevin, and TJ invites Tina and Kim. What do? They sow their $500 seed directly to the water, directly to Alice. So their seeds bypass Awari and TJ, go straight to the water. No middleman, no banker. Week 4, the water week. Mary has now become water. You see Mary's in the center as water, and Awari and TJ, whom she invited her second week, they have now moved to the earth position. Lisa, Kevin, Kim, and Tina have now all moved to the air position. And what do? They each invite their 2 like-minded friends and family to join our share group. So Lisa invited Nick and Gina, Kevin invited Grant and Tim, Kim invites Carissa and Angela, and Tina invites Lucy and Larry. And what do? They each, all 8 of them, sold their $500 seed gift directly to the water, directly to Mary, and Mary thus receives 8 $500 seed gifts in week 4 for a total of a $4,000 harvest. All right, guys? So what happens in week 5, you will re-enter your original position, meaning you will go back to your fire position. You will re-gift $500 of the $4,000 that you just received, and you will gift the person who is water. And that is, Mary will re-gift Lisa, because you just go back to the beginning and you start all over again when you are re-gifting. The only thing that's different is when you re-gift, you do not have to invite 2 more individuals to the initiative. You have done what you were supposed to do. You do not have to invite 2 more people. Now all you do is re-gift, and you sit and wait another 4 weeks, and you will receive your $4,000 harvest again, guys. It is just that simple. All right, so let's look at it. So here in the center, you see there's Mary. So Mary was gifted by Nick, Gina, Grant, Tim, Carissa, Angela, Lucy, and Larry, right? So now going into week 5, you see Mary goes back to the start position, if you follow that dotted line to the upper left, and Mary is back out on the outside as far as the fire spot is concerned. You see that the water is Lisa, okay? So that's all you're doing in week 5. Once you're watered, when you get watered in week 4, in week 5, you go back to the start position. Now, people always ask, well, if there's only one water, how does Awari and TJ become water? So if you look to the right, you'll see Awari starts her own flower, and she is now in the center as water in week 5. Now also notice that Lisa and Kevin.
Is there anyone who's not understanding this?
All right, and I will pause it there as well, because this is the part where it confuses a lot of people with this lotus, displaying it as a lotus, right? Or displaying it as a flower, even the loom, what was popular before. The whole splitting part, that's where everybody gets confused at. And I think where it confuses people is where the how it's explained where the split happens. Now, as he explained, as this guy was talking about, he explained the split happens right here at the earth position. However, that's not completely true, right? And by, when we think about the split, we got to think about, when do you start your own flower? So when Awari, when they started their own flower, they actually started their own flower when they invited their 2. So when they were in the wind position, they invited their 2. So as they progress through the weeks, these different positions, the fire, the wind, the earth, and the water, these are just the parts of the cycle. These are the different weeks. I think that's the best way to look at it. So once you invite your 2, and everybody invites their 2, it creates a chain to where your flower and your cycle actually starts when you step into week 2 after you invite your 2 people. Now, if you don't invite your 2 people, technically the way it's ran for most communities, most organizations, the way they run it is, if you never invite your 2 people, then your flower never starts, right? So you need to invite your 2 people to start your flower, right? And as far as the person that invited you, as long as they invited who they were supposed to invite, as long as everybody else did their part, the person that invited you, their cycle will continue and their flower will be full. Another term you will hear is the flower is locked. So all that means is so let's say you're Mary, right? So since Mary brought in these two, right? Mary brought in Arari and TJ, and then everybody brought their two in until we got to a point where we have 8 people who were brought in week 4 are at the fire position. That's when a flower is locked. When everybody to the point where you're the water, everybody has filled the slots, right? Or everybody has invited their 2 people, right? So these flowers end up kind of being intertwined. But the point I'm really just want to make here is that your flower actually starts right here in the second week after you brought in your 2, right? So you have to bring in your 2 to start your flower. Now, with all that being said, the way that we're working it, this is mostly my idea. So if you come from me, I'm definitely working it this way. I'm working it so if you just absolutely cannot find your 2, then we're going to work as a community, as a group, to help whoever can't find their 2 find their 2. This is another reason why I'm trying to bring in as many people as possible, so that if we do have certain situations to where people cannot find their 2, and it is understandable if you're just not networked with people who can see great opportunities, or people who maybe just don't have the money to get started with this. I mean, there are certain situations, but $500 is really not a lot of money to get. I mean, like right now, I could definitely get $500 in 2 weeks if I sign up for Postmates and start delivering some food to people, especially right now with everybody ordering in like Postmates and Uber Eats and all of those, and they got to be popping right now because everybody's like forced to stay home right now. So $500 is not really that hard to get, that's why that's the easy part, honestly. But the hard part that some people find that people run into is getting to people. But we're working on a way to actually. I already have a plan that addresses that. So just definitely. But if you want this to happen, if you get into this and you want this to happen for you as quickly as possible, you definitely want to make sure you bring your 2 people, right? And everybody brings in their 2 people. Everybody does their part. This is based off of universal law of karma on the positive side of the game. So if if you give, it will come back to you. That's just how it is. That's what the whole overall concept is based off of. If you give, you will be returned what you give. And in this case, it's 8-fold. It's 8 times whatever you gave the first time, you will get 8 times in return, right? And we can continue this on for as long as we want to, right? I'm just gonna cut that off right there, and I just wanted to break that down. So just to explain it in another way, to where that could, if you were still confused, that's another way to for me to explain it. That's another way to look at it. And in terms of the money, in terms of being gifted, all of these spots here, let me change my color actually. All of these spots here, the earth, the wind, all of that, it doesn't matter to you, right? It only matters to you that you want those people to invite 2 other people. With our system, as long as you bring your 2 people in and everybody's doing their part and bringing people in, and we'll fill these spots, and we're trying to automate it because right now, if trying to do it manually, that can be kind of a headache. So we're all working on software, and that can automate this whole process to where if for whatever reason someone drops out or whatever, those spots are filled, and people at Mary's not sitting out there because someone didn't do their due diligence, didn't do their part, or someone just, for whatever reason dropped out of the thing, or dropped out and couldn't do it anymore, or things happen. So that someone's not just sitting out there just empty. So if you still have questions, you can it's really not that complicated of a thing. Just keep it simple to that. When you come in, just do everything that you can, exhaust all your resources to bring in 2 people, right? And work with people, to work as a community, because this is what this is all about, to help each other get 2 people, or to help each other with whatever they're part of it that they're struggling with, and bring people in, and then by your 4th week, or by the time that you're in this water position, when it's time for you to get watered, you will get watered by 8 other gifters. All right, so let's go ahead and keep it going.
The planet code.
I know it pretty much is, but I'm just, some people may be confused.
It's all predicated on everyone we get, right? It can't continue to work.
Well, it is. I'm going to get into that right after he breaks this down. I will talk about how it all flows in a second.
Yeah, I got a quick question. Are we going to be assigned groups?
Well, we're going to get into all that after he finishes explaining.
Become the Earths for Awari. And then Nick, Gina, Grant, and Tim, the Fires, become the heirs for Awari. So the same thing happens for TJ at the bottom of Mary's flower. He branches off into his own flower. Tina and Kim come along in his flower, and Larry, Lucy, Angela, and Carissa also come over as heirs to their flowers. Now, what happens next? Nick, Gina, Grant, and Tim for Awari, they each invite their 2 like-minded friends and family to join our initiative, and those 8 people gift Awari. TJ's friends on this one, Larry, Lucy, Angela, and Carissa, they invite their 2 like-minded friends and family, and those 8 gift TJ. So that is how the split happens, and it's continuous. It always happens in your 5th week, the split takes place.
So
That's
it's
the
not
more of a
in the 5th
mesh.
week, it's actually in the 4th week, or right after the 3rd week. So we kind of misspoke right there. Because when you're here in the Earth position, that's week 3. So week 1, week 2, week 3. After week 3, you break off and you start your own flower. All right, so it's after week 3. So right at the beginning of week 4, that's at the beginning of week 4, when you become the water, that's when you become the center of that flower. And then that's when it's your own flower. Now the whole goal is just to make it to the center of the flower. Once you do that, then you're in a perpetual cycle of getting paid, which is why it's not a Ponzi scheme. You don't have to keep getting anybody. Everybody who wants to reap the benefit of the gift, that's their payout to get in. That's your work. You don't get something for anything. I know most people think, well, I'm giving $500. No, that's not everybody. We can get $500 from anybody. It's what are you willing to do to get in there? And you have to work. You have to spread this gift to someone else. You have to go out. You have to talk to people. You have to keep it. You have to, expand the energy. And that's only really for you, because once you get 2 people, you don't have to do anything anymore. It's for everybody who wants to reap the benefit of the gift. Their work is to get 2 people. Now, usually in the normal, like I said, the hardest thing about these is usually finding people who are willing to join and do that. But as the real novice, we had a community of it. I already had people willing to do this. Now, I will say I didn't expect as many people as we got. I thought maybe 20 at the most, but there are, they're not even all in here. There are like over 100 people who contact me. So, which means we're gonna have to really. This is something that I don't think anybody's ever came in with that many people ready to hit the ground running and create flowers. So what that means is, first off, everyone who hit me up first, it's going to go by, who hit me up first. First come, first serve, meaning whoever sent me an email first. That's how we're going to break it down. And as for your question, are we going to be assigned? So the whole thing is you want to try and get your 2 people. All right, that's your to me that's your payout for getting in. Not the $500. It's you working to get those 2 people. That's the energy. That's the karmic energy that you have to put out. So if you're in here, and I understand everybody's not able to do that. Like well, I don't understand. What I'll say is, some people may not be in the situation or circumstances to be able to do that. But I would still advise you exhaust every situation, before you just come up and say, "Oh, I can't do it." Oh man, before you just feel defeated and say, "Oh, I can't do it." Put that out into the universe. You understand who you are. You're God. All you have to do is ask the universe. The universe will make that way for you. Now, having said that, this is what this community is for. So if we don't have, if someone can't, just for whatever reason, and I don't usually deal with, do or do. My motto: do or do not. There is no try. However, if your leg is broken or whatever happened that you possibly cannot get those 2, we will. This is what this community is for, to help bring people in and get them into a flow of a flower. How we would have to do that, again, because there's so many, we have to go back and break it down according to who hit me up first. But it's also going to be according to, because a lot of you hit me up and you already had people willing to come in, right? You're already ready to bring people with you. So with that, you already have done the requisite, karmic work to bring somebody in. So the people who hit me up first, those will get first priority, as well as people who are bringing someone in. You will get placed in the flower. You will get placed in the flower first. And then if you have 2 people, you can just basically, for the people who don't have 2 people, you can slide your 2 people off to them. Because you'll already be within the flower. You'll already be in the middle of it. So that's how we're going to have to work it out. That's how we're going to have to map it out. What I'm going to need from everybody, I'm going to need a bunch of information. So, right off the bat, everybody understands you got to be trustworthy. That is of the utmost.
You got to be trustworthy.
Trustworthy and your fidelity. Excuse me. And fidelity is number 1. So
absolutely.
Fidelity also means trust. You have to be a person of integrity. This is how this works. This is literally energy out, energy in. That's karma. So if anyone is in this and you're trying to be shady and you want to stop it, which I don't understand why you would do that, because why would you stop? Well, why would you want to stop getting $3,500 every 21 days? That makes no sense to me.
Can't figure out how to reason
That's why I
myself.
haven't really heard anybody doing that, but you never know who's out there. So right off the bat, that is number 1. That's number 1, 2, 3, and 4 really to me, because I don't deal with a lot of people as it is, and so for me to really be, when I mess with people, your integrity has to be a super high standard. So that's that. Like I said, people with at least 2 people, and people who contacted me first, you'll be able to get the first priority when we're placing people. We want to try to. So how it has to happen is everyone can't get placed in them. We can't start all flowers at one time because you have to stagger in. So some people will have to wait. Some people will have to wait to come in because the system doesn't work otherwise if everyone starts at the same time. So that's why we have to choose priority of who hit me up first, and as well as who's already bringing 2 people. If you bring 2 people, you'll be able to move into the flower first, and then just slide your other 2, just slide your, the 2 that you have to a person who doesn't have 2. Okay, so you'll be moved in like already into the flower, like you had those 2, but you're going to slide into the person who doesn't have them. So this is how we're going to help each other out. We're going to raise, each one help one. So that's how we're going to do this. We're all going to uplift each other. Who doesn't, who has this? Or I got this. Or I don't have that. All right, this is how we're going to have to do that.
All right, so that pretty much concludes. I edited some of a little. I edited that a little bit because it was like the actual meeting was like almost 3 hours long, so I definitely didn't want to make a 3-hour presentation. And I just put out that's the important information. It was a lot of questions and things following that initial the main portion of the presentation there. But yeah, it pretty much wraps everything up. If you still have questions, like I said before, leave your comments. Leave your question in the comment section below. And so just real quick, since most of you guys are probably traders, that's how you were introduced to this video. The main problem that I see with this system is the fear that people have with losing money. So us being traders, we know that anytime you're led, especially when it comes to your money or anything in life, really, anytime you're led by fear, you're bound to drown. Like seriously, like if you're whatever you fear typically happens because that's what you're gonna focus on. That fear emotion is really, it's a powerful thing. So my recommendation would be, if you can see the opportunity that this is, don't make a decision based off of fear. If you're scared of losing your money, then you're going into it with the wrong mindset. You're going into it with the wrong you're already going into it with the wrong energy. This is about spreading positive energy. All right, this is about working together as a team. This is about working with each other. This is about just spreading positivity throughout the world, right? So you definitely you have to be mindful, and you have to do this in your trading anyway, right? If you try to trade with fear, you're going to lose money. And I know that from personal experience. That's one of the biggest hurdles that I had to overcome after I, ran into my rough spot. Once I just stopped being directed and motivated by that fear, then things turned around for me, and then I was able to profit, in terms of my day trading futures and however else I participate in the market, right? But so just don't let the fear get in the way of a great opportunity. And that's with this or anything else in life, so you don't want to let your fear lead you to I wish I would have. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Because I'm pretty, all of us have those moments where we like, man, I wish I would have did that, but you didn't do it because you were scared, right? And then later, you had a great opportunity came up. Somehow, fear stopped you from doing it. And then later on down the road, you look back at that opportunity and be like, oh man, I really missed out on that one because I was scared to do it. Especially as traders and investors, we're definitely familiar with that. Fear of missing out can also be fear of how can I say it? I don't know. I'm gonna cut that part out. Anyway, that is edit. All right. So yeah. So if you're interested, go ahead and drop me an email at UnitWE@mv3trader.com. And if you want to take me up on that offer, go ahead and do what I told you to do. In that all the details to take me up on the offer, and the offer in itself is in the video that should have led you here. So you should know what to do in terms of the special offer I have for 8 people. I need 8 people before I even do it, and I will cut it off at some point. I may allow more than 8 people, depends on what kind of response I get. So 8 people in terms of to help you out with your fear, at least 8 people could be a little more, you know, that I give this offer to. First come, first serve. And if you have your 2 people already, or you can get your own 2 people, that's even better, right? So those at least 8 people, I'm going to guarantee you, worst case scenario, you will get a 20% return on your initial gift, right? So that's $100. So by the time you hit the water position, and the worst case scenario, you will get your 500 back, and you know, an additional $100. That's a 20% ROI, right? So that's the worst case scenario, and that is only, I repeat, that is only for, you know, the 8 people that take me up on the offer. If you forgot what the offer is, go back to that video. Again, link is in the description. I'll link it in this video, and you know, let's get going and let's start working together, and let's get it. All right, I'll let y'all later. Deuces.